So good morning and thank you DOLAPO for doing this wonderful live with us again. Really appreciate it because I know you've got such a busy schedule and you've got kids and you just, you've got such an amazing life as well.
Thank
and
you,
also,
Artie.
you're a speaker as well just a few weeks ago, and really appreciate your time and your effort you took out to prepare an awesome presentation for us and our attendees. And today, we're doing this really good live, just touching base after the event that we did. And of course, we've got some exciting news to share that we're going to be working a lot more closer together as well.
Yes, that's amazing. This is the thing with Maida, Sam, and you, Artie, is that it was so amazing working with you guys, collaborating on that event. And when we then decided to carry things further, which I guess you'll be explaining further, I just thought it would be a really good synergy because, I'm coming with a world of content and a lot of different ideas, and you guys already have the platform. So it's definitely a good collaboration. So
thank you very much. For those of you we've never met, the first time we met was about 3 weeks ago, and
exactly, and we just connected.
Yeah, and during this pandemic, I think we've all had to sort of adapt and pivot and do everything online and do everything virtually as well. So we've never met, and we've just had this really great connection, and yeah, really excited for the next venture. So if you guys didn't get to see her presentation, it's on our YouTube channel. We're more than happy to share it with you guys as well. And it was such a demanded presentation. In fact, we had to share your presentation because everybody just wanted to.
Everybody wanted, yeah. And that's the great thing, Artie. It's all about educating, isn't it? It's all about giving value. And somebody had said that, when you're thinking about doing a presentation or when you're thinking about talking about your journey, it's more important that whoever is listening to you gets something they can use, gets something that can help them advance, especially if they're trying to especially when we're talking about property, right? The whole event was about, it was a pre-auction event, which, by the way, I love those events. When they were live in the hotels, I used to attend them. They're really, really great events. You guys get really strong panelists on there. And so, to be a panelist was actually an honor for me, just to be one of those panelists. But then also for the feedback to be so great afterwards is just double honor, isn't it? Because, I am coming from a background where I've been in the trenches working hard in property over the past 10 years. So I do know a lot. Now I can say that. And, it comes across a lot of times when I'm doing, the presentations. And that's why I guess there was that much sort of positive feedback. So I'm very happy to hear that, Artie.
And I think your presentation nailed it because it was all about education. Yes, but your presentation was all about education because you talked about your journey, how you started and where you are today. And most importantly, you provided so much in your presentation, and you were educating people who were not just first-time investors, but experienced investors as well.
Yeah.
And people like us as well, like a property company. So you had so much value to add in your presentation.
Yeah. And that was the idea, is that, so first of all, in that presentation, I was thinking about what would people want to know about, right, in terms of the journey, but also how to transition into property and how to create value in property investing. So it was important to talk about the different ways you earn income through property, and as well as kind of talk about the differences between investing now in 2020 versus when I got started in 2008, and just going through that as well. So I think, helping people to understand where they are in this sort of property life cycle and what they hope to achieve, it's very important. And that was some of my aim when I was delivering, to make sure that came through. So I'm glad it did.
Amazing. And as a result of that, we are collaborating, we're working together, and we've got an exciting training workshop coming up in a couple of weeks' time. So I'm delighted to share that we're going to be doing a strategy event called Buy, Refurbish and Refinance. So that's all going to be a lot more intense. There's going to be a lot of educating in there as well.
A lot of
We're
content.
going to cover so many strategies as well. There's so much content in this workshop that we are both offering together. So what's happening in this event is it's a lot of modules that we're going to be covering, right? So do you want to talk us a little bit about the core structure? So we can just tell people what it's all about.
Okay, so the course structure is pretty much the buy, refurbish, refinance model, which a number of investors are familiar with. Is one of the proven strategies to build your portfolio, and it definitely helped me. Now, remember that we are both coming from a very strong auction background, right, in terms of our ability to source properties through auction. And so tying the buy, refurbish, the BRR method with buying in auction is like a magic formula together, because you pretty much just have it on a cycle. And so it's helping people understand how they can leverage their property portfolio, combining the BRR method with purchasing in auction. And honestly, it's an amazing strategy. It's worked for me in terms of building my portfolio, and it's also worked in terms of even flipping. So if you wanted to flip property, it's also a great strategy. So the modules are broken down into step by step how you would go through that process. So you would source the property, you would improve the property or increase the property value, you would go through and modify the property, you would go and then present the property so that you highlighted the best features of the property, and then you go into letting out the property and then extracting the value. So if you didn't pick up on that, that actually spells out SIMPLE, which is a simple framework. And it's a simple framework that works alongside with purchasing in auction. So, but it's not limited to just purchasing in auction, of course. It's also a framework that you could use to also purchase externally through any other vendor you want to source property through. So that's pretty much what it's going to be, what the course content is going to be about.
It sounds very simple. Like for me, someone who's not, coming from a property background, it's a simple strategy, right? You buy a property, you refurb it, and you refinance it. But as someone, people have been asking me, like, why should I attend this workshop? It's because there is so much covered that you can't search for it on the internet. Yes, it's a simple strategy, but the process involved in it is a lot, and you cover that in the workshop,
in
right?
detail. Yes,
in a lot of detail. So we
and indeed that's a good point. So a lot of people do think that I can just go and do this on my own, piece a few YouTube videos together.
Absolutely, yeah.
And indeed you could, but one of the issues that you'll face is, and I have had help along the way, and it's really saved me a lot of money. So the amount that you think you're saving in not spending for the education, you will spend, I promise you, in property. You will completely spend it in mistakes and errors, because you just don't know what you don't know. It's just the truth.
Absolutely.
In terms of strategy, there's some strategies I did not know existed, and I kept doing it the sort of the ordinary way until I discovered these strategies, and then I was like, oh wow, I've been wasting my time all this time. If I'd gone and gotten the education earlier, I would have known about it, and I would have been able to jumpstart my property career way quicker than I did. So
with less mistakes and with less
mistakes. So it's also thinking about that. It's an investment to your future. You're educating yourself. You're improving on your journey. And there's a statement called "you're standing on the shoulders of giants." So it's kind of elevating you, isn't it? Where you're not just starting from scratch. You're starting from a knowledge base. And there's also the access, because what happens is that you start to form relationships. A lot of people through these types of courses are able to form relationships that they can then tap into, because for instance, if we had, a session and you came back and said, oh, I need some clarity on this. I'm the educator. It's up to me for you to give you that clarity and help you along your journey. So it's also being aware of that you do get access that you wouldn't normally get just, by trying to do it on YouTube.
So you are giving your valuable time. Your 10 years of experience is there as well. So
it's all condensed.
That is something that you can't get, right? It's simple. So we're offering this wonderful course. A lot of content is being covered. You're accessible, we're accessible too, and this is lifelong education and skills that I'll be setting, not just for the first project, but for many projects as well, because I'm sure they're going to continue this in their property journey as well.
Yeah, so when you look at, especially, and properties, because of the vast amounts that you're investing, think about it, which other industry do you go into where you command such vast amount and you don't get educated? You do understand? You really do need the education and the knowledge to make sure that you are being a good custodian of your own funds. You've worked hard for it, you know, you're trying to grow it. So it's better to start off with the best, you know, with the best foot forward. So
absolutely. So if anybody wants to come onto this course, do they have to have a property? Do they have to have a project ready, or can this be a bit later on?
Well, so typically, I always say it makes sense for you to get some educating before you get into it, so at least you have. But it's very important that very quickly, as soon as you get the knowledge, you start to work it. Because if you don't do it, what happens is it's just the human brain. You get you know, your attention gets captured by so many things, especially in today's world where we have social media, we have so much information being thrown at us. So it's very important. I say to everyone that I speak to, I coach and mentor, to say any information you get, you work on it immediately. And that's part of what the course is going to do as well, is that we'll have activities for you to do following after, because it's not just about content, it's about stepping and making sure you're activating what you're learning. And that's where the true value is. Otherwise, you've just gone for another course.
Yeah,
so
yeah. There's a lot of practicality in here as well, isn't there? So this is absolutely brilliant. Okay, so we've got a couple of dates for the event coming up. I know we've got one in July and one in August at the moment, and I'm really excited to share it as well. So I really wanted to introduce you on this call for those people who were not able to see a presentation in the last pre-auction event, and just let everybody know that we will be working together very, very soon. So I'm really excited about that.
Great.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for your time. We will be sharing out the content as well. And if anyone's got any questions, then our details are going to be below as well. So we are both contactable. But thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Artie. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.